Something we want to cover actually this morning, and I think it's very relevant to the markets at the moment. So we're seeing these huge moves at the moment in gold and silver, but you also, these are very tradable, also using Forex and foreign exchange. So the commodity pairs you want to look at, and these have a really strong correlation to gold and silver, are Australian US dollar, we're going to be looking at that this morning as well, and New Zealand US dollar. So these are both associated with gold commodities. So they are closely related in values because these countries are major commodity exporters. So as the price of commodity rises, the values of these currencies typically rise. As the commodity falls, the value of these currencies typically falls. So what you would have seen last week, all four markets on QE3, you can see there we had massive moves to the upside. So gold, silver, New Zealand US dollar, and Australian US dollar, you can see the correlation there. And often, sometimes you can get a much bigger move on the currency pairs versus gold, for example. And oftentimes, you may get a signal for a trade on the currency pairs where you may not get the trade on gold and silver. So it is good to be able to, as a commodity trader, to certainly take note of what those markets are doing as well, because you can pick up some phenomenal moves. Okay, so shortly we're going to go on to our charts. We'll talk through what's happening at the moment. Very interesting morning this morning, by the way. We're getting some breakouts even this morning on pound dollar. I know gold and silver are back testing those 6 to 7 month highs. So good time to be on the webinar today. So top trades this week from Monday to Friday have been, so for those of you who watch the commodities market, crude oil has been hammered this week, and we'll go into that. But the price action trade this week was the one to be taken on crude oil. So we took an entry. We had a break of a Fibonacci level, actually, or a price action trade of $112, and it was a very clean trade. So it was a profit target, actually, of 375 points. We got down to the next Fibonacci level of 108.45, and that was a very profitable move, and that happened very, very quickly within the space of about 36 hours. The next one we're going to be looking at is cable. So we'll show you the price action trade we took on cable, which was great. So last week, pound dollar absolutely rocketed to the upside in QE3. We obviously saw some profit taking. We had some pullback in price this week. Again, we came back to a major supportive level, Fibonacci level as well, which was our entry point. We respected that, and we've just rallied and we've hit the next level, which is 1.6300 this morning. So that was, again, that was a trade from yesterday, and it's just come into fruition today for 129 points. So we will show you these trades very shortly. So we're going to move on to some live technical analysis. Okay, so this is pound dollar, and here you can see over, well, this is the move we've essentially had last week. So we had the breakout, which was here last week when we had QE3. We had this whole move here. You can see where we've had some consolidation in price, and then just yesterday, actually, we came down and we retested this Fibonacci level here. So we've come down, we've tested it. You can see it's been very supportive. You can see almost actually with pinpoint accuracy, quite amazing. You can see where the price has bounced off this level here. So 1.61695. You can see the price has been respected. We fell through it ever so slightly, but you know your stop loss would keep you in that trade easily. And then we've had a lovely move to the upside from there, and we've hit our profit target level and the next Fibonacci level up. So that's represented a lovely move there, and you can see this has been pretty much 129, 130 point move in the last 24 hours. So that was one of the top trades of this week on cable there, on pound dollar, that you can see. Okay, so now we are going to have a look at crude oil. So this was one of our trades of the week as well. So let me give you a little bit more information on crude, okay? So the news from the Gold and Silver Club, we've got a Reuters platform we use for that. So we saw on Wednesday that crude oil plunged literally to 6 weeks lows during the US morning hours on Wednesday. Heavy losses after the US government report showed oil supplies rose significantly more than expected last week, and the price came under further pressure amid signs that the top oil exporter, Saudi Arabia, was pumping more oil. So the country's output is near the highest level in more than 3 decades, according to the Persian Gulf official So on the New York Mercantile Exchange, the prices fell very sharply. You can see where the price tumbled down actually, and we had this news because we use, a lot of you who've been on our courses or you've been on our website, you can see we use Reuters as one of the live news feeds. We saw this news coming out on Wednesday. We had a break of this 1112.23 Fibonacci level. You can see there it's a price action level. So you can see where we had that break, and the price very quickly moved downwards. So you can see where we actually got to our profit target. We were pretty happy with that to have got to 108.43. Yes, you may have been able to ride it slightly more and get more points out of that trade, but that was quite a 375-point trade in just over 24 hours. Was lovely. So you can see where that was one of the top trades of this week. Okay, excellent. So now we're going to be looking at gold, guys. So gold is been very interesting this week. So the price of gold has we broke out last week. So we managed to break out on the back of QE3, and we have we're now back at that. We broke out to the upside. We tested $1,770 per ounce, and you can see at the moment. So this white line just signifies the breakout we had last week's QE3. You can see where we've been testing this level. So we've just been consolidating every time we've pulled back. So we pulled back to 1750. We've just seen buyers come into the market. So there's been opportunities to trade on the pullbacks this week. They haven't been huge trades, but there've been plenty of quick wins out of that on a day trade. So every time we pull back to more or less the just above 1750 actually. So about 1751 there, and we got to 17. So every time we've got around the 1750 to 1760 level, buyers have come in, and we are right back up at this 1770, just above that at the moment. So obviously we're watching a breakout of this level at the moment. So we're consolidating, we're moving sideways. So we are interested to see if we can break out of 1775. Next level we're very interested in is going to be 1790. The reason being this was the high of February 2012. So we want to see if that high is going to be retested, and if it is retested, whether we're going to see a breakout of that level, and if we're going to reach 1800 again. Obviously, if we have some sort of bearish news or outside markets do present us with a sell-off, we will be looking at support at these lower levels, 1730, around 1730, 1720 sort of area, because this provided strong resistance previously. And after that, if we were to get any sort of larger pullback than that, we would certainly be looking at 1630, which presented a strong level of resistance during the summer months. So we took a long while. We broke against that resistance level a number of times over the summer months. But right now, interested to see if we're going to break out from 1774 from this level. We are on the verge of really touching those highs at the moment, 7-month highs. Now we're going to move on to silver. Silver, again, really quite interesting. So silver's holding its ground. If you took a trade, I guess, this time last week, you'd be in exactly the same position right now, because, well, if you took it at 34.78 around that level, you can see that we're right back up testing that resistance level. So impressive from silver. Silver's held on to all of the gains from QE3. We had some take profit. We had a bit of a pullback this week, but every time we've got up to around $33.75 an ounce to $34, that has been seen as a buy zone for this week, and we've seen traders come into the market again, and fresh buyers come in. We're also we cannot get past this sort of resistance level at the moment. So around about $35, we haven't. I think we just about touched $35 this week. We weren't able to follow through on that. So you can see we're hitting our head against that sort of resistance level at the moment on silver. So $35 an ounce, certainly presenting some resistance. You can see there actually right now our Fibonacci level 34.78. We are right on it at the moment. So we have been consolidating for, well, pretty much the last 24 hours or so, and very interested now to see if we're going to get a breakout, another leg higher, or whether we're going to see another retest of lower supportive levels, which at the moment seem to be viewed as buying levels. Okay, so back to cable. So we've had a question in here, is cable still a buy? Okay, so Nick's absolutely right. Obviously, we can't give any sort of recommendations. It's not what we're here for, just to give some market analysis. So what you want to be looking at the moment, though, is that if you go out to the larger scale time frame, we are back to the highs of April 2012. So you can see this level here, we are testing those, and we've actually had an extraordinary move. So from the lows we put in on May, we've moved, let's have a look, yeah, 1,000 points. So that's been a 1,000-point move since the end of May. So just beginning of June, so in the last quarter really, we've had a huge move to the upside in pound dollar. We will see what the after effects of QE3 are going to be, whether this is going to be continued weakening of the dollar, in which case the pound will obviously get stronger, or we're going to see what sort of effect we have on the outside market. So whether we have any sort of effects on bearish outside markets, which could cause the prices of the commodities to go down. We are also fairly overbought at the moment, but having said that, we are looking to, we're very interested in potential breakout setups at the moment as well. So obviously this morning we've got to that level, that Fibonacci level. You can see traders have taken some profit, so the price is starting to come down after some profit taking. So certainly one to watch and keep an eye on today. So these are the commodity currencies. So there we go, perfect. Just as we were talking about earlier on the slide. So at the moment, gold, silver are back at their 7-month highs. So what can you see on this screen? You can see Australian US dollar. Actually a much bigger move on Australian US dollar and New Zealand US dollar. So we've got gold and silver back at their 7-month highs, but really the trade was on Australian US dollar and New Zealand US dollar. If you've been able to get on the pullbacks yesterday, I mean, you can see here where Australian US dollar has actually tested a key Fibonacci level. We've respected that level there. You can see we've tested that supportive level, we've respected it, and we've actually had a rally to the upside now. So you could have been looking at either this trade here to be able to take this whole area here from a supportive bounce off 1.03764, or you may have decided to still keep in this trade, in which case you would be up here right now. So that represents the first of those trades. Now that's a 64-point move. And the second of those trades, if you'd got in off those bounce, some of you may have done that, you would currently be about 130 points up. Okay, so the week ahead, key events looking forward. So this is the time if you want to take out your pen and paper or just jot some of these down. So the key events to look at. Today we actually have Governor Mervyn King speaking. So he's the head of Bank of England Monetary Policy Committee, so controls the short-term interest rates. So he has more influence over the pound dollar than any other person. So his comments may spark a short-term positive or negative trend. So that's one to look at certainly today, this afternoon at 2 o'clock. On Monday, we want to be looking at the German FOO Business Climate Index. So this measures the expectations for the next 6 months. So it's a composite index based on a survey of manufacturers, builders, wholesalers, and retailers. So a higher than expected reading should be taken as positive or bullish for the euro, while a lower than expected reading should be taken as negative or bearish for the euro. Obviously, we're interested in the euro because that affects gold and silver. If we have a strong dollar, that tends to cause weakness in the gold and silver complex. And if we have a strong euro, it tends to, certainly to date, has caused a stronger gold and silver price action move. Okay, so now we're going to look at Tuesday, the 25th, 8:30, we want to be aware of. So for those of you, we were just talking about Canadian dollar and how it's correlated to gold there. So you need to just be aware there is an announcement at 8:30 GMT. So that's the core retail sales. That's important because of if you're trading that in relation to gold and or oil. And Tuesday the 25th is another one to be looking at, US consumer confidence. So obviously we're interested in that to see what the consumer confidence is after the post QE3. to really get an idea of how the market has reacted to QE3. Okay, so that is almost bringing us to an end, a nice weekly summary as we are bang on 11:30. I do think we have some time for questions as well, but if you would like more market updates, you want to get weekly updates as well from our newsletter, simply go to our website, www.thegoldensilverclub.com, and you can subscribe there to our weekly newsletter. You'll also find all sorts of trading tools on the website. If you've got any further questions, please feel free to send those across to office@thegoldensilverclub.com or give us a call on 0207 193 0403.